Hello, I'm Albert Bennett, the inventor of fraction bars. These were first used at the University of New Hampshire in 1968 for preparing elementary school teachers. Later, Patricia Davidson of the University of Massachusetts collaborated with me in publishing the first edition of fraction bars in 1973. Here we have the deck of fraction bars. If a deck of bars like these are passed out to students, they might sort the bars and make observations. Now these bars are sorted by color. There are the white bars with black print. There's the blue bars, purple, yellow, red bars, green bars, and the orange bars. Now one thing that students might notice is that the bars have different numbers of parts. For example, the green bars will always have 2 parts. The yellow bars will have 3 parts. The blue bars will have 4 parts, and so forth, on up to the orange bars, which are divided into 12 parts. Another thing students might notice is that the sizes of the parts vary. The largest parts are the green bars because they're divided into 2 parts. Then the yellow bars are divided into 3 parts, so the parts are smaller. The blue bars are divided into 4 parts, and the parts are even smaller. And finally, the orange bars are divided into 12 parts. And you can see those parts are going to be the smallest in this deck of bars. So now this gets into a big idea in mathematics, and certainly in teaching fractions, that the more equal parts that something is divided into, the smaller the parts. Now there are 3 ways to describe these bars. One way might be to talk about the color. For example, here's a yellow bar with 2 parts shaded. So we might give the color and the number of parts shaded. Or we could say that the bar has 3 parts and 2 parts are shaded, not use color. Or we could say 2 out of 3 parts are shaded. Now by using that type of terminology, 2 out of 3, that's pretty close to the language we're going to be using for the name of fractions, which is 2/3. So in this case right here, we might say 3 out of 4 parts are shaded, and then later we're going to call this fraction 3/4. Now, the main point here is that the students are comfortable in describing the bars, and that they can give enough information so that somebody else might be able to pick out the bar that they're describing. Now there are 3 special types of bars here. The bar with 4 parts, it's a whole bar. Then we have 0 bars. Here's a bar with 4 parts, no parts are shaded. Now every type of bar is going to have a whole bar, so there are 7 colors, there are going to be 7 whole bars. Every type of bar is going to have a 0 bar, so there are going to be 7 0 bars. And even though you don't see color here, the backs of these bars are all colored. So those are 2 types of bars, whole bars and 0 bars. And then we also have bars that are half shaded. So again, before fractions are introduced, students can talk about whole bars, 0 bars, and half bars. Another thing students might notice is that these bars all have the same length. And so the unit 1 is represented by a whole bar, and this becomes important later on when we introduce fractions and we want to talk about fractions as being less than 1 or greater than 1. An activity you could do with students before fractions are introduced is to have them find all the bars that are half shaded. So let's, well, we'll get a green bar out here, that's half shaded. Then a blue bar with 2 parts shaded. And a red bar with 3 parts shaded, and so forth. So they could get all the bars that are half shaded. There are going to be 5 different bars that are half shaded. And you could ask them if all the bars are half shaded, and of course the bars with 3 parts are not going to be half shaded, and the bars with 5 parts are not going to be half shaded. So anytime the bar has an odd number of parts, it's not going to be half shaded. Now finally, an activity you could have students do is to select any bar describe the bar, and tell if the bar is greater than or less than half shaded. So for example, a student might pick an orange bar with 5 parts shaded, and they could describe it like that, or say that 5 out of 12 parts are shaded. And in this case, they might reason that the bar is less than half shaded because there are 12 parts in the bar and only 5 parts are shaded. If they pick a bar such as this, well, now they could describe this bar as a red bar with 4 parts shaded, or 4 out of 6 parts are shaded. And since 4 is greater than half of 6, the bar is more than half shaded. Young students, you might want to have them place a bar, a 1/2 bar on their desk, and then they can pick out bars and describe the bar and right away tell whether or not it's greater than half shaded, equal to half shaded, or less than half shaded. So these are some of the activities you can do to introduce fractions and to help students become comfortable and familiar with the deck of bars. This is the first video in a sequence of 22 videos on using fraction bars for teaching fractions. Even though we did not use fraction symbols in this video, the activities will help students become familiar with the part-to-whole concept of fractions. Much of the success in problem solving with fractions depends on a good understanding of fraction symbols.